but the legal framework starts with speed regulations. That enforcement of speed will be both by speed guns and the cameras. Okay. On top of that, these speed guns and the cameras are expected to be calibrated, because otherwise, if my speedometer is not calibrated, your speed gun is not calibrated, we get a problem. In court, who has the right speed? Okay? I've talked about that 30 kilometers per hour limit. Now, requesting a change. Usually, a highway, as you will see a highway, a rural area has 80 kilometers per hour as the speed limit, then it starts to develop. A trading center forms. You start seeing schools on the road. You start seeing hospitals and the like. The population grows, and you start experiencing accidents, right? But the speed limit is still 80 kilometers per hour. Then you wait for the road authority to next do its road audit to do what? To change this speed limit. So we have empowered the communities to actually go through their local governments to have this speed limit changed. Okay? Penalties. When I go to penalties, recall, one, we are trying to reduce the average speed of the country, because there are benefits in having a lower average speed. We saw that. Okay? Two, we are talking about protection of the 60% people who die who have no control over the vehicle. Three, we are talking about changing, reducing that 80% human error, that if we tackle that 80%, we shall bring the accidents down. And four, the contribution of speed in road crashes, which is over 50%. So, of late, as long as you go beyond the speed limit, it's an offense, and the penalty is 10 currency points. And it doesn't matter if you have gone over by 5 kilometers per hour, or if you are driving at more than 40 kilometers per hour beyond the speed limit. Now, when you think about it, every action has a mind that follows that action. Okay? So if in a 50 kilometer KPS zone, I'm driving at 55, okay? One, think about my mind. What was I thinking? One, I'm not driving at a safe speed. So it's an offense already, right? Two, since I'm not driving at a safe speed, there's a risk I'm posing to other road users, okay? But what was I thinking? Is it that I didn't stop, I didn't brake in time to go into the zone? Is it that probably I was distracted and I didn't brake in time to get to the zone? Number two, if something suddenly happens, a child is crossing all of a sudden, am I able to stop in time? There's every chance that it will be a very hard break, but probably I can stop and avoid this child, right? If I can't stop, probably I can swerve and still avoid this accident, right? Let's say I can't. Let's say I knock this child. What is the impact of that? Okay? There will be broken bones, certainly. But there's every chance that this child will live. Okay? Now let's contrast that. If in a 50 kilometer zone, I'm driving at 120 kilometers per hour. The first thing is, what is my mindset? Is it that I didn't break down in time, break in time to go into this? Did I even care about the speed limit that has been put there? Did I care about the risks that I pose to the people that are using this zone where I'm driving at that speed? Okay? Chances are I didn't care. Chances are I wasn't trying to brake at all. Now we go to the impact. If something suddenly happens, a child is crossing, and I interface with this child, will I be able to stop? Probably not. Will I be able to swerve? Probably. But if I swerve, the people along the road are dead. Whichever vehicle is there is going to be knocked. Basically, I won't be able to avoid this accident, right? The other thing is, if I do not stop and I actually hit this child, what are their chances of survival? Probably none, right? So when we talk about the average speed and lowering the average speed, the first thing is to eliminate such a person, to eliminate such a culture of, I would say, impunity. Basically, carelessness, recklessness, having completely no regard to other road users. And we go back to the 60% of people that are actually affected when they have no control of the vehicle. We want to remove this category. Now we go to the penalty. Where you had a similar penalty for all, now we have two. If you go beyond the speed limit by 1 kilometer per hour up to 30 kilometers per hour, so I'm talking about if in a 50 kilometer zone, you're driving at 51, 52, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, up to 80. 10 currency points. Okay? That is what has been pertaining. If you go beyond 30 kilometers per hour over the prescribed speed limit, that triples to 30 currency points. So where you had 200,000, it becomes 600,000. Now we have had a lot of talk, especially from transporters, okay? But why are we doing this? It is the scenarios that I've explained. It is the intention of government to have this average speed reduced and to reduce on the contribution of speed to accidents, and then we can reduce on the figures that we had above, okay? Penalties that have been prescribed in the speed limit regulations. Now we go to the express penalty. So express penalty scheme regulations, these regulations have been pertaining, okay? We have made some changes to those regulations to address the road safety situation that we have. And the main thing is we are looking at how to best implement, how efficient and effective the express penalty can be to reduce those figures. So the tiered penalties for speed I've talked about. I talked about the use of cameras for issuance of EPS. So basically we are saying that where you can use a speed gun to pick up a speed limit, you can use the camera. But also other penalties, other offenses can be enforced through the camera. We are talking about lights, we are talking about change of lanes, we are talking about driving the opposite direction. We are talking so many things that can be picked up by the camera. Okay? We are talking about offenses related to even the registration number plate, things like that. Okay? So, that can be implemented. But, since we are here, I also wanted to talk about 3 other issues. 1, child restraints. We all have children, and most of us are not transporters. So we drive our own cars, and we drive our children. Child restraints are special seat belts or car seats for children. Now, what we are seeing is a minor accident. I talked about a hard brake. You're supposed to be in a 50 kilometer zone, and you're driving at 60. Something happens and you brake suddenly. You have your child. Now that child, in such a minor issue, the child is flying and hitting the windscreen, head injury. the child is dying in a minor accident. So, and that is because we are not actually securing the children. Okay? So the law says that a child of the apparent age of 5 and below must sit at the back of the vehicle and must have an appropriate child restraint. Okay? So if it's a baby, if it's a toddler, that's a car seat. If they are a little older, that is proper child restraint. Then for a child of the apparent age of 12, below 12, that child must put on a seat belt, but must also sit at the back, not at the front. And apparent means what can be seen by the eye. So don't be complaining with the traffic officers about a birth certificate. If a child is small, they are small. It doesn't matter the age, that child will go through the windscreen either way. Okay? We also have wearing and fastening of crash helmets. And I think my minister has interacted with you before regarding the provision of helmets, okay? Now, what we are seeing of late is that motorcyclists pick these helmets and they put them on the handlebars. When they encounter the traffic officer, the man picks it, puts it on the head. When he passes the traffic officer, he puts it back on the handlebars. Now, it's because probably they don't have an appreciation of why the crash helmet is in place, okay? But we have provided that this crash helmet must not only be put on, it must be fastened, okay? So most of you are actually dealing in motorcycles. It is also your duty to educate those people on the use of these crash helmets, okay? Now, for people that are dealing in tuk-tuks, most tuk-tuk drivers don't think that they are required to have crash helmets. But tuk-tuks are not protected at all. Even the one with the canopy, it is made out of cloth. So these people must also use the crash helmets. Now, the crash helmets must also be of a quality that complies with the standards, the UNBS standards. Some people are using construction helmets. Some people are using bicycle helmets. Those things do not protect the person. And we are trying to reduce those injuries, the 17,000. Most of those are actually head injuries. And head injuries, you know, they have a long-term effect. So we are trying to protect the person even when they get an accident. So yeah, we are enforcing this as well. Now, offenses related to registration plates. We know that the registration plates have changed. I think you're more even aware, you've interacted with them more than I. Now, there are some offenses that come with the registration plates. Before we were used to getting our registration number, we go to GM, pick the registration plates, the customer puts them on their dashboard and drives around for a week on the dashboard, show that this is a new vehicle and what. Now, we know that they are supposed to be fixed by ITMS, okay? So, whether the number plate is actually there, but it is not fixed, that's an offense. A number plate must be fixed on the vehicle. That's an offense that will be implemented through EPS. 2, that number plate must not be obstructed, okay? We are going through elections, but some of us even, for you maybe not, but some of us are even going through weddings. In weddings, people start putting Robert weds Mary, and they cover the number plate. It's an offense, okay? Anything that obstructs the number plate. Any addition onto the characters on the number plate. Any reduction on the characters. Anything you put, even if it is UA, then you put a picture of maybe a bottle of beer, whatever. Anything, ornamental, whatever, is an offense, okay? Tampering with number plates is an offense. Removal of number plates is an offense. Now we know that, I don't know, most of you are motor vehicle dealers. I don't know if you double as garages as well. We had that dealer's number plate, right? So for you, dealer's number plate is usually used before the actual registration plate is put. But let's assume that for one reason or another, maybe the car has been involved in a very bad accident, and this number plate has to be removed to be able to repair the vehicle, right? If you're going to remove a number plate, you must inform before removal, okay? You must inform the chief licensing officer that technology is going to be part of the system that is on ITMS. Now, two, if you discover that your number plate is actually missing, you wake up in the morning, someone took it. You're driving, it fell. Things like that. You must inform immediately when you get that information, and they'll still be on the system. Not that you have to walk into a particular office. It would be on the system that you make that notification. Okay? Yeah, that should be. Of course, tampering with the working of the tracker is also an offense. Eh? And it's not only an offense. This is a security project. It also triggers a security alert. So when we are dealing with number plates, with trackers, I know that most of the dealers, while the vehicle is still, while the payment is still being made, you also install a tracker, which is okay. Now, when you're removing your tracker, do not interfere with the other tracker, okay? Because it will trigger a security alert. It is a security system, and you don't want people to start thinking there's a crime that is being committed or being arranged, okay? So I'll have my concluding remarks, okay? Now, we are all Ugandans. We live in Uganda. We work in Uganda. We are pedestrians. We are passengers. We are motorists, okay? We build awareness every day. However, it doesn't matter how many times you talk. If there's no enforcement, it doesn't work. Because there are other reasons that determine how a person behaves on the road. If you bought your Subaru, and I believe many of you have Subarus, you have access to these vehicles and you like the speeds. So if you bought your Subaru 240 kilometers per hour or 280 kilometers per hour, you've put these triple exhaust, whatever they are called. Really, it's not that you don't know the speed limits. It's because you want to hear the sound of that vehicle, right? When you overtake a vehicle, you want that vehicle to know that this vehicle is faster. When people jump out of the way as you pass, you want them to realize that this vehicle is a beast on the road, okay? And in a way, those factors can override your own safety culture, okay? That is where enforcement comes in. We enforce what are the safe speeds, because any deviation from the safe speeds creates a risk to other road users and to yourself, okay? So members, as government, we have our role as regulators. Now, you have two positions. One, your users, your road users, and you want to stay safe on the road. But two, your motor vehicle dealers, okay? So the main thing is compliance. We want to reduce the numbers. We have committed to reduce the numbers to Ugandans. Even internationally, we have committed to reduce the numbers. We want to reduce the average speed. You are knowledgeable. You can actually, for example, when you have your trackers there, if this guy is driving your vehicle at 140 kilometers per hour in a 50-kilometer zone, and you can see him, I mean, I think you can really impress on him that this is not safe, even for your own business. A guy is dead with your money. It's not good. So let us use our special positions as motor vehicle dealers and the knowledge that you've got here to ensure that we comply but also ensure that our clients comply. Now, you're going to see your role in all of this, and there are going to be many discussions, but remember the basis of what we are doing and why we are doing it, okay? In whatever we discuss today, remember the basis. That is why I started with the basis and went into the legal framework. With that, Ministry of Works is going to continue training the Uganda Police Force on how to enforce. We are going to continue talking to other stakeholders to tell them what their role in the implementation of this regulation is. And I want to thank you for listening to me. If you have any questions, you can always contact me. My numbers are there. An email can be sent to my email address here. And I think I will return to the MC for further guidance. Thank you.